Good morning, Principles of Management. How are you? This is Mr. Argueta coming to you week number 2. Welcome back, everybody. It's been obviously a learning process for some people. We had an update with Blackboard, and for those of you who have never worked in Blackboard, it's new and it's obviously a learning curve either way. For those of you who have in the past dealt with Blackboard, then it's obviously still a learning curve because it's different, it's updated, so it has a lot of new stuff and it looks different. But so I'm hoping that you guys are adapting to it well. I hope that everything's going good for you. Got a couple things I want to kind of touch bases on for week 1. Of course, we had introduction, so it was really just getting to know each other. I apologize again. I'm still dealing with this voice thing. It's this lingering cough that I can't get rid of, but I got with me, as you probably were aware of, my coffee. Today's drink of the day is so I drink an espresso, which is, I showed you last time, but let's see if I can get it in the shot. There it is. Let me get it out the way. There it is. It's the one, the lower one. So I drink that one on a daily basis, and essentially this is the Starbucks brand that I use for it. I normally buy theirs, but this is what's called you can't see it because the light is shining off of it, but it's a Sumatra blend. It's a strong coffee. I do appreciate strong coffees. A lot of people recommended one that's from the K Cups called Black Rifle Company. Was pretty good. I like that. I do enjoy drinking espressos, so I do a double shot doppio drink normally, 2 shots of espresso. That said, don't get me too excited about coffee. I'll go down a rabbit hole. My son just got into what was the pour over coffee, which is like this little filter, and you pour it over and you measure it, and it's gotten too deep, a little above my sort of understanding of it, but it tastes great. The coffee he makes. That said, so thank you. It takes me about a week to read through all of the discussions. We have about, I think we're tapping into like 45 students in this class. So please bear with me. It takes me about a week once the week closes. As you know, it closes at 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. Please don't wait till the last minute. There's always something that happens. And as you already know, I do not offer extensions, nor do I go back. That's done for a reason. I'll explain it to you in week number 4. Please don't think that I'm trying to be just a tough instructor. It's not that. I'll explain to you why the policy exists of no extensions. But ultimately, I recommend you get started right away. Even if you do some a little bit at a time, don't wait till Sunday night to do your work, because there's always something, a storm, the internet doesn't work, an update's being processed through Blackboard, and you put yourself in a bad position. So highly recommend you avoid waiting to the last minute to do your work. That said, get off my soapbox. Let's talk about what we're doing. So it takes me about a week to grade everyone's discussions, to go through them. I do read through them. As I've mentioned, discussions are extremely important to me because that's where I get to know if you're understanding the material or not. That's where I see you speak with an educated tone about the topics that we're discussing. Now, you can get a degree, guys, in the real world and still not know what you're talking about, because in our our technologically advanced age, I understand, and so do employers, that you can, for lack of a better word, hype your way through it by just Googling some answer, ChatGPT, or use whatever technology. But the real substance is if you understand what you're talking about, not just know how to reply, but you get the concept. So that's what I look for. That's why I tell you, I don't accept one sentence answers. I want context. I want you to understand. I want you to have good content in your discussion. This week, we talk about the ethical perspective, right? Don't just say, I believe in this. Tell me why. Dig deeper. Look inside of yourself. Try to figure out why you make the decisions that you make. For example, I'll give you an example. Is it ever okay to lie? Is it ever okay to lie? And some of you are going to immediately be like, it's never okay to lie. I respect that. As a matter of fact, I am not trying to convince you to become a liar. That's not the intention of that process. It's for you to discover why you believe that, right? And some people will believe that because being in the South, we probably have a lot of people who lean towards a spiritual background, a religious inclination. They have an understanding or a belief system that there's a higher power that tells us what's right and what's wrong. So we consider that a deontological mindset, which is normal. It's perfect. I'm not trying to change that. Just know what you are. And that tells us that certain things are right, certain things are wrong. There's no right or wrong, by the way. This is just who we are, right? And that's perfect. So ultimately, you explore the concept of that and why, right? And I'll challenge that because I want you to see the perspectives from different points of view. Those of you who say it's never okay to lie, I would ask you then the question: do you ever? I mean, if you have children, do you tell them Santa Claus is real? And some of you will defend that argument and say, well, that's a white lie. That's different. Okay, I respect that. I'm not trying to convince you otherwise. That's perfectly fine. Do you ever tell your kids the tooth fairy exists and you deceive them, right? Lying is a deception. And I would not argue, but I would present the case that everyone to a certain extent lies. And how do we justify that, right? The other question I would ask you is, if you were the driver of a train, you're a conductor, and your train is going at a high rate of speed and you lose all functions of the braking mechanism, and you look down the track and you're going to turn right or you're going to turn left. You have no other option. And I understand no one will ever be in this position. That's not the purpose. Don't logically think through this. Think about how you get to a decision. Now, people go, I can't make that decision. I understand this is very difficult and you will never be in this position. It's just to go through the process of identifying your ethical perspective. It's not to hold you accountable for that decision today. It's just to help you identify why would you decide that. And on the right-hand side, there's 10 adults. You have no other information on purpose. You're just conducting this train. If you turn right, you killed 10 adults. If you turn left, you killed one child. How would you make that decision? And once again, I am not trying to put you in a position to solve a problem. That's not this. This is an ethical dilemma which forces you to identify what ethical inclination you will take at that moment. No one is going to be able to lean to only one ethical perspective. It depends on our circumstance, our situation, who's involved, the information we have, which is what I want you to get to. I want you to get to that place where you go, it just depends. But right now, if I was forced to make that decision, I'll do it this way because this is what I more lean towards, right? I'm not going to try to sway you either way because I want you to go through that journey. And that's called that's called utilitarianism, where we look at the greater good sometimes. So for those of you that say, well, I look at it from this perspective, well, maybe that's it. The other question I pose is the concept of, if there was no other option, there's no other option, and you had to break a law, would you do it to save your family or to do something that's good for someone? For example, for those of you who say it's never okay to lie, I bring up a situation like during the Holocaust. Anne Frank, the people who hid her and hid her family to save her life. When her government at that time, the Nazi regime, came to her door and knocked on her door and said, do you have any Jews? Have you seen any Jews here? And their family, that family who owned that house, said, no, we have never seen anything like that. We don't know where the Jews are at. They lied to save the life of a person. Does that justify the lie, right? And you might say, well, no, there was other ways to do it. How about going into a scriptural story? There was a woman who saved the spies in the Bible, and her government went and said, did you hide the spies here And she said, no, I did no such thing. And actually, in the scripture, that woman whose name is Rahab was then put in a position of honor, being Jesus is the savior of the Christian faith's great, 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 great grandmother. So I challenge you to study the perspectives and say, why and when is it okay, or is it ever okay to lie? And tell me what you think. I'm not trying to convince you to lie. Please don't think I'm trying to do that. I'm not. I think that we all have ethical leanings. I'm in business trying to teach you that when we're put in a position of there is no clear answer, understand that ethics is going to kick in, and why do you make that decision is my purpose. Okay, there's other ones. You'll find that in pages 74 and 76, also in 82 and 84. But I challenge you to go out there, research it, Google it, use whatever technology to discover why you make the decisions you make. All right, other than that, it's still cold. It's still cold out here, so I'm hoping next week starts getting better. I hope that you guys are staying healthy and safe and hydrated and all that good stuff. As you can tell, I'm trying to save my voice and keep it warm. I don't know if coffee helps or doesn't help. For those of you in the medical field, I've seen a lot of people out there in the medical field. Give me your thoughts. So remember, reply to my video giving you an update. We're in week number 2. This goes very, very fast. So I'm looking forward. Keep in mind, your weekly quizzes questions will show up in your midterm. Everybody, I appreciate you. Take care. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you next week.